All right, I'm going to turn back to our panel in the studio. We have Samer Sinijlawi, an activist for the Palestinian Fatah Party from Jerusalem, joining us. And, you know, we're seeing civil unrest across the state of Israel. That is, you know, perhaps one of the biggest issues that is making headlines around the world as well. These protesters, these Arab-Israeli protesters that we're seeing out in cities from Haifa to Nazareth to Shfram and Tira, what are their demands? What do they want to see happen?
Well, I think what's happening is more serious than oppressed. I can call this the apartheid uprising. The Israeli strategy for 70 years dealing with the Palestinians inside Israel, and then later, after 67, dealing with the Palestinians in the occupied territories, have created the climate, and now you are receiving the storm. People are fed up about being less equal than the other Israelis, the Jewish Israelis. Okay, they have rights to vote, but for example, they cannot form a government, and they know that they don't receive equal services. There is a sense of being oppressed, and it has been accumulating, and now there has been the trigger by a very naive politician, the Minister of Internal Security, where he decided to play with a very sensitive nerve in Jerusalem. He started to play with Al-Aqsa. And he knows, or he maybe doesn't know, and this is even a catastrophe. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know that this is a gunpowder bag, and you cannot test it with fire. It's not allowed, because this place, Jerusalem as a whole, is a city that is bigger than any nation, is bigger than Israel, is bigger than Palestine, is bigger than any religion. It's a city that is connected to billions of Christians and Muslims and to 30 million Jews together. So you can't play fire there in that place. Right. It's very small things. If you push the status quo for 1 millimeter, you get what you are receiving now. It was the trigger. But the climate has been building up for 70 years. And I think now Israel needs to take strategic decisions. There is no security solution to what's happening there. Maybe this wave could cool down after some times, but it will be preparing for another wave to come.
That's what I want to get to, is, you know, how long this unrest is going to go on for, because even if we do see the rockets stop coming from Hamas and from the Gaza Strip, will this civil unrest die down? My question for you is, what do the majority of Arab Israelis want when it comes to Palestinian statehood?
Well, it's clear what the Palestinian wants. Palestinian wants equality, either with self-determination, we are here, you are there, or with equal rights in one state. This is what the Arab wants. And I tell you, all the Palestinians, all the Arabs will accept one of the two choices. The question is, what do Israelis want? The peace process should be internally, inside the Israeli society. To what direction do you want to do? Do you want to go to 2 states or to 1 state? I think neither of them. The Israelis want to have the 2-floor states, where the Palestinians are in the servant floor and the Jews are in the noble floor. And this does not work.
Martin,
it will never work.
Put a little political context to all of this. Mm-hmm. It's true what he's saying. It is a big powder keg. And unfortunately, both sides, Israelis and Arabs, have been playing with this powder keg because of political reasons. It's in Israel, it's in Netanyahu's government's interest that there was a bit of tension. That's what we saw Sheikh Jarrah. That's what we saw what's going on the Temple Mount, because they don't want to see Ram going with Bennett and Lapid. They don't want to see this kind of thing. They don't want to see it get so out of hand, but it did get out of hand. And in the same hand, the Arab Israelis don't want to see Ram necessarily going with a Jewish parties as well. They don't want to see such a rapprochement.
Because that is a form of representation in government. Arab Israelis don't want to see a change bloc.
Well, there are roots for the problem. As far as also the Palestinian inside the occupied territories did not receive some kind of accepted political situation, there will always be consequences inside the Israeli society with the Palestinians inside Israel. It's all connected together. I think the strategy of Israelis of divide and conquer, making Palestinians localizing the Palestinian questions into Palestinians inside Israel alone, Gaza alone, Jerusalem alone, West Bank alone. This is a broken strategy. Now it has proven that there is a connection. There is a common problem among all Palestinians. There is one identity there. And you cannot split them into smaller problems. There should be a comprehensive solution to every single Palestinian. The Palestinian conflict has been waiting for a long time, and it's time to put into an end. And I think there should be interference from the international community because
I have a question for you, actually, if it's okay. What we're seeing in the streets, a different question, a rhetorical one, unfortunately, that I'll ask in a little bit, but I want to ask you this one. Is this about 1948 or is this about 2021? Meaning, there is an argument that this is because of years of discrimination against Arabs inside Israel, that they have been discriminated against and that this is a reaction to that. Is this because of that, or is this because of what happened and how Arabs have their historical memory of what happened in 1948, a problem that the Israeli government's not going to be positioned to solve?
Well, I think it's all connected. It's an accumulation of everything that is happening on the ground. It's all connected. And I'm very much confident that not the Arab leaders inside Israel, nor the PA leadership, nor Hamas has really something to do with this. Okay, Hamas could control the rockets coming out of Gaza towards the Israeli cities, but it does not control the mass people going in the streets of Jerusalem or Haifa or Rahat, nor the local leadership, nor the PA. It's spontaneous mass protests against the general problem. And here we need to find a strategic solution.
I think that we're being, sorry.
Martin, we have to go out for a quick break, but we're going to continue this conversation when we get back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue with I24.